so much for listening to the Cooligans. In the first segment, we talk about the women's national team. We were there for their send-off. Well, you were there. I was there for the media day along with you on Twitter trying to get verified. We'll find that office. Don't you worry about it. And then we also talk about going to the game and how dope that was. And we got to watch our bestie play a little bit, at least sit in the bench.
But she hugged us.
Yeah, we got hugged, baby.
And in the second segment, we are joined by this man right next to me, Matt Doyle of MLSsoccer.com.
He's here for real.
Classing it up.
Yes.
We need it, all right, because obviously it's a very messy show. So so we have a great time with Matt, talk about a lot of stuff, and answer a bunch of Gully Squad questions. So all this and more.
But we also find out why you won't marry Andrew Wiebe. That and more on this episode of the Cooligans.
Hey, this is Alexi Lawless. There is nobody in U.S. soccer that is more important than the Cooligans.
Yeah, baby! All right, guys, this is a little different, okay? We didn't want you to go an episode without the Hey Baby, but unfortunately, something happened, and the first 5 or 6 minutes of audio of this podcast is completely missing. Tim did everything he could to try to find it. He went to the board. He got the backup audio. He went and got the video, everything, and it is completely gone. So you will not get the first 5 minutes of this episode, but I'll tell you what was on there. It was us thanking you guys for being the best fans in the world and being here for the first 200 episodes. We're so happy to be sharing our 200th episode with you, and hopefully the next 200 are amazing. It was awesome. It was emotional. We shared stories. Christian cried. He ripped his shirt off. He ran around the room. I had to console him, okay? Honestly, I'm glad you're not even getting those first few minutes because a little embarrassing. I think he went a little overboard, to be completely honest. And honestly, I think there's people that are involved that are at the top that caused this to happen. I'm not going to suggest who it is, but I think we all know who we're talking about. With all jokes aside, Tim apologizes. He wishes that he could find or get back those minutes, but we can't. So you didn't miss anything because as soon as we thanked you guys, we went straight to talking about who's going to be on the show and then the reviews of our podcast. So let's get to that now. Right after this, a quick note here. You're going to start to hear us talk about the fact that Matt Doyle is going to be on the show right now.
So Matt Doyle will be here in our next segment.
He's going to be in
the studio. It's crazy. We're huge fans of Matt Doyle, and if you don't know Matt Doyle, just what
are you doing?
If you listen to the show and don't know who Matt Doyle is, that's insane to me because he is one of the like MLS kind of OGs. He's just it's
not even an OG. It's like it feels like he's been there since the beginning. It feels like he was one of the people holding up the cutting the ribbon. Sure. At MLS. It just seems like he knows everything about that's ever happened.
He knows that, yeah. He's very much, like a warg, right? From Bran, like Bran in Game of Thrones. He kind of sees the past and the future. Yeah. The dude knows everything about. Well,
then just tell us what's going to happen, Bran.
Okay, Matt Doyle is going to be the king of MLS at some point. So we're excited about that. So there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. We've had insane weeks, but usually, we always start the show by showing love to the people who show love to us on iTunes reviews. Thank you so much. We're currently at 455 reviews. We're going for that 500.
We're getting there, baby.
We're so close. Help us out, you listener. And
I'll say it again. If you listen to the show and you haven't left us a 5-star review,
yes,
what is you doing? Come on.
Yes, so there is okay, so I want to read this review because it was great, and this is also, I had mentioned her name. I'm pretty sure this is her. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but I think it is. I mentioned Leanne from Kansas City last week. I had mentioned because she felt bad she hadn't left a review.
Right.
Then she did. She kept her word. So she goes. So this is the subject says, my number one weapon against aging and blending too far into suburbia. All right.
Wow.
So this is better than any,
we're a face cream.
Like a cream or any,
know those masks people put on? They're like
the face mask,
that make people look like Scary Movie. That's what we are.
We're better than any wrinkle remover you can get at Sephora.
We're you know what we do? We tether you to your youth.
Okay, we make you feel young again.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, everything's starting to get moist.
Okay, I mean, who knows why? We don't know. We didn't say what body part.
Yeah, no, I mean your skin is revitalizing.
So
there's a warmth you feel inside.
So. Okay, so this, so the review is, I first learned of the Cooligans because I'm a Total Soccer Show subscriber. Well, I feel bad for her. I mean, anyway, I'm kidding. So it says, I first learned of the Cooligans because I'm a Total Soccer Show subscriber. I'm pleased to say I enjoy not only the soccer chat and the humor, but also the cultural topics that come up on the show. While I'm still a Midwestern mom driving around in a minivan, this podcast helps me widen my perspective, even though it has some fairly bizarre ways of doing so.
Hey, trust the process.
Okay? You got there, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Sometimes you take a couple turns, okay? Scratch up the minivan a little bit. Off-roading.
We inspire in different ways, you know? Okay, and she continues. She goes, if you, like me, wish to pretend for an hour that you are the gulliest and not that quotes, that soccer mom in a minivan, the Cooligans just might be for you. No, comedy club language and topics are included. I don't listen with my kids around. Use your judgment. Okay.
That's also, yes.
Okay, you're still a responsible mom, so that's good.
Pretty dope. So we haven't influenced you that much, okay?
You ain't the gulliest mom ever.
You ain't putting the little headphones on the kids while they sleep just to make sure they wake up a little gullier than when they went to bed. You know what I mean? Kid wakes up playing dice in the bathroom.
All right. I'm like, that's like, Mom, what happened while I was sleeping?
Why do I feel different?
I made you a man. That's what happened. Or a woman.
Yeah, or a woman.
All right, we're skipping the bar mitzvah.
Hell yeah. No need for any of these, celebrations. This right here, manhood, womanhood.
So thank you so much for the review, Leanne. That means the world.
I got one from Hoffman FC. He said, because you called me out, that's the title.
Yes.
5 stars, of course, because if it's not 5 stars, we don't talk about it, right? Yo, my guys here called me out on the newest pod. I've been listening without ever reviewing and rating the pod, but I ain't embarrassed. I'm just lazy as hell. But for real, shouts to y'all. This gully, hilarious, mostly onlyest face mushing podcast is on point. Definitely 5 stars. Also, shouts to Alexis for being a game show host.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Add it to the resume.
What I love about this is if you don't know anything about this show and you say to yourself, let me go to the reviews. Right? And then you read, but for real, shouts to y'all. This gully, hilarious, most onlyest face mushing podcast is on point. You'd say to yourself, I feel like I know less about the show now.
This is the worst Netflix bio I've ever seen. I don't know what's going on.
Was this a weird Google translation? I don't know.
They translated it from Dutch, I think.
Yeah, but he's right, though. We are the onlyest.
We are, by far.
I mean, you find me as someone that's more only, and I'll be like, yo.
So thank you. Help us get to 500. Leave a review on iTunes or whatever podcast app you use. It helps more people hear about the show. So that's how we're trying to spread the gully word.
Yeah, we're trying to spread the gully around.
So
let your kids listen. What happened to the teacher? Did he ever get fired? Remember that?
Yeah, we have to check in on our listeners also. See if they still have their jobs. So, okay, let's talk about a bunch of things going on in the world of soccer. Obviously, the U.S. women's national team. We had, the women's national team took over New York City.
They put on a show.
Yes, and in Rebel Arena.
Yeah,
in Times Square.
Yeah, they're everywhere now. Their faces are literally everywhere.
Correct. Yes.
I'll tell you this: I walked in to have a meeting, and there was a building with an empty storefront. The meeting lasted an hour. It was our phone call. Remember the phone call?
Yeah.
I walked out of that phone call. That entire storefront with, I think, 25-foot windows in the front, completely covered in women's national. It's like they're like, Alexa's almost done. Hurry up.
It's been a nice surprise for Alexa.
It freaked me out. All of a sudden, there's a 75-foot Alex Morgan staring at me. Kristen Press is kind of in the shadow looking at me with those eyes. I'm like, it was amazing. And it's like everywhere I turn, there's something else for the women's national team for this World Cup.
That's how you hype up not only the city, but the world, right?
That's how you get juices flowing, speaking.
Everybody's like, yo, they're everywhere.
My God, you turn around. They weren't there before. It's like a scary movie.
It's like, I think it's like the eyes in a painting.
Yeah.
Yo, why is Kristen Press just looking at me? Yo, I walk from 48th Street to 43rd, and she's still looking at me.
She's still behind me. I turned 3 corners. Still there.
So it has been dope to see that. And
hey, we're breaking in real quick just to tell you about our favorite sponsor,
SeatGeek.
SeatGeek, baby,
sponsoring today's episode. If
they love us, we love them.
We love them, and we just went to the U.S. Women's National Team game, right? And we had gotten tickets on SeatGeek. It's
what a seamless situation that is.
A breeze. Yeah, Seamless is a different app.
Yeah, sorry.
but good. But,
yeah.
But no, the SeatGeek, the app is just incredibly easy to use, and I have it on my phone. I looked up women's national team tickets, and just like you always mention like the what level they are, like green, yellow, red, and it's like and it's like green. This is the best deal. You need to get this right now.
And that's the thing. It searched all the other sites for you that sell those tickets, and we're like, here's where to get it. I got you. I know a guy.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
They're the connect. They're the plug.
They're the connect
for the Cooligans, and they could help you out because you guys you want to use SeatGeek, but you're like, I'm a little timid to download a new app. I don't have enough storage on my phone.
Well, delete all those other apps.
Exactly. And if you download the SeatGeek app and use the promo code Cooligans, you will get $10 off your first purchase. So
imagine that. Imagine you want to go see the women's national team, or that was their send off, but maybe you want to go see an MLS game or something.
Yeah, or an NWSL game.
They're the official ticket partner of MLS.
Exactly.
So maybe you want to go see a comedy show in your local neighborhood, right?
Other events. Yeah.
You know it's going to be a 2-drink minimum, so you say, I might as well save a little bit of money, right?
Exactly.
You throw Cooligans in there. We got you $10 off your first order.
Exactly. And then that means you can get even more drinks for you and your date.
All right.
Okay.
And you get a little sloppy. Tell them you love them, Make it weird. Make it messy up top. Lionel Messi. There you go. Brought it back to soccer.
Boom. We did it. So make sure you download the SeatGeek app and use the promo code Cooligans for $10 off your first purchase. Where do we begin? You know what? Let's start with the World Cup send-off at the French consulate, right? So I couldn't
go.
Alexis couldn't go. So I went to the Fox World Cup send-off.
Hold on. I had something to do. It's not like I have warrants or something in France.
That's right. Your ankle...
It's Baku, and I'm Mkhitaryan.
Your ankle monitor just didn't allow you...
Buzzed every time I went in there.
No, but it was a really cool experience. We went last year, and that was the one where someone almost attacked you from the...
Yeah. I almost... someone tried to fight me.
Red Bull fan. But whatever.
At the Russian
At the Russian tea room. Anyway, but that's another thing. That guy wasn't there, which is good.
No. It's probably outside biting the neck off of a dog.
But the experience was really cool. Everybody from Fox was there. Shout out to Aaron West, who's also going to France.
Yeah, he's doing a big Twitter show.
Yeah, that's right. So we're really, really happy for him. And Ali Wagner, Stu Holden, John Strong, Alexi Lawless.
The whole family.
Everybody was there, so it was cool. You couldn't go, so I brought my girlfriend instead.
All right.
To hobnob with all the soccer.
She better have eaten my share of food.
Yes.
Play no games.
I told her, I'm like, this is the requirement if you're going to come.
You better prepare.
All right, because there's going to be 18 pounds of food that you're going to have to...
Hors d'oeuvres. You need to eat trays.
So everyone was really cool, super nice. It was usually we go together to those things. I never brought my girlfriend. I don't think Dee's really never been to any of them. But I think it's a different. It's like experiencing it in a different way.
It makes it less of a work outing.
Yes, and and then it was like I walked in and Alexi.
It's like you double dated with Alexi Lawless and Stu Holden.
Pretty much. But it was cool, like talking to Alexi Lawless, because I felt like maybe it was just me being with my girlfriend. It was like a little bit more disarming. Like everybody was just like kind of a little bit more at ease, as opposed to the Alexis energy that you bring to every. I
do try to guilt everybody into working with us
into
more.
Something, yeah. But the Alexi Lawless came up to us and was talking, and we had a very polite conversation. So Stu Holden showing us pictures of his kids, and
oh wow,
it's a little different.
Yeah, that would not have happened. If I was there. I'm like, yo, let me see your kids. Still, pull the photos out right now.
So so it was just a fun experience, and then also got to see Florian Velo.
That's right.
From the New York Red Bulls, and Vincent Bezecourt.
That's right. Bezecourt was there.
Who are both French.
Right.
And I had a funny experience because I was introduced.
Didn't somebody on Twitter say that Bezecourt's not French?
No, I don't know. I didn't see that.
I'll look it up. Keep telling the story.
So, but I go I never met Vincent Bezecourt in person.
he's French.
Yeah, so I never met him in person, and I didn't really, I didn't know who he was, which happens with a lot of soccer players.
You know the name, you just don't
I know the name.
face.
Yeah, I've talked about him on the show.
These dudes are just wearing like suits. It's different.
Yes.
You don't expect it. First time I met Florian Below, I'm like, could you get this 9-year-old away from me with a beard, with a mustache?
Yes, there's this. What is it? The U12 Red Bull Academy in here.
Yeah, get out of here.
So. But I did. I said hi to Florian Below, and he had to deal with another terrible injury, another ACL injury after he had one last year, and it was like, I was talking to him about it and see how he was doing, and it was because
we met him a year ago. We met him at Kicking and Screening
exactly,
last year,
and it was good sort of to catch up and sort of, he was actually, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I should just say what the conversation we had, but he was very like honest about like what he was going through and like just like how it's hard. Obviously,
it's difficult. Yeah,
you get hurt and you come back.
You hear players talk about it after they've recovered, how difficult that time period was.
Yes.
So you got a chance to have a conversation with him during it.
Exactly. And also with the fact that he already dealt with it and was already on the high of like, I'm back. And now he has to deal with the injury again. So it was like cool to like kind of have that conversation. But I was talking to him and I was introducing him to Helene, to my girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, this is Florian Below. He plays for the New York Red Bulls. And then he does this is Vinny. He also called him Vinny, which also, like, I'm not used to that. I don't know who Vinny is. All right.
Oh, you're not on a nickname basis?
But he goes, oh, this is Vinny. He also plays for the Red Bulls. I'm like, Vinny. Yeah. Oh, Vincent Bezecourt. Oh, okay. All right. And there's like that awkwardness of like, oh my God.
You are somebody.
Yeah. Oh, now I will respect you.
No, wait, you're not Velo's cousin? Yeah.
But no, he couldn't have been any nicer. It was awesome. Yeah. And I asked both of them, like, yo, come do the podcast.
Yeah.
Get on here.
Chanel too, right?
Chanel too. Maxime Chanel was there. The nicest. Everyone was super nice. But
that's awesome. Maxime
Chanel was so nice that I did not expect him to be that nice. Do you know what I mean? I was actually startled by how nice he was. And I think this is it's I've only seen him play, right? And out of the,
he's a very authoritative guy on the field.
Well, especially compared to the other NYCFC players, you see him and you're like, all right, well, this is a dude you do not mess with.
Yeah, he's an angry dude out there sometimes.
No, talk to him. I was like, hey, I'm an NYCFC fan and everything. And the dude was like straight up thanking me. Like
you scored a goal.
Thank you for all I've contributed to NYCFC success.
He was texting other NYCFC players like, yo, Nani comes to the games, man. Yo, secret's out. Nani really want to be on NYCFC.
Yo, he's talking to me right now.
Yo. Also, great English. Weird accent, not gonna
lie. Honestly, what was funny was that Maxime Chanel, he did, and this, I mean, for the people listening who have seen me in person, I'm one of the more ethnically ambiguous people that you might meet, right? And this has been my entire life, especially doing comedy and putting myself in front of more people.
No one knows where you're from or how old you are. You have this thing where people, they walk in and they're like, should we card him or get him a walker? I don't know what to do here.
Card him or ask for his papers.
Yeah, exactly. Also, he's suspicious because I cannot tell where he's from.
His clean face is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, he looks like half of the band Flyless.
So, but even Maxime Chanel pulled me aside and was like, look, I just need to know where you're from exactly. Because he asked me if I was Moroccan.
Because he has a family member, like
his wife. Yeah. His wife is Moroccan, French Moroccan, I believe. Yeah. And he, but it's amazing. This is like legit my life all the time.
All the time.
Where even the dude's from Luxembourg and was like, hey, I need you to make sure you should be in here.
Yeah. We need to verify.
I just need to make sure everything's all right and on the up and up. But it's just
I mean, I'm not going to ask you for your papers, but all these guys in uniform behind me are, so.
But no, the guy was couldn't have been any nicer. And like for such an authoritative person, as you said, Shocking, just surprising. I didn't expect him to be like, "Thank you so much for supporting the club," and all that. It just so nice.
That's awesome.
It was just incredible. He made me feel like I'm the 12th man. For real.
He's like, "Hey man, I know you don't get in the games much,
but you keep working.
Yeah, what you do in training is really important for us." Who does he think I am?
So that was awesome. It was a really cool experience. Thank you again for Fox for the invitation.
How was the food though?
The food was good. The food was not as abundant as it was at the Russian tea room.
Well, then I'm glad I didn't go.
but it was still very good. They had a bunch of drinks. Everybody was getting lit.
Getting a little sauced up.
So it was dope. A great time. So the World Cup, it starts on June 7th. And we're obviously stoked and excited to watch it.
Super excited.
So, a bunch of, Danielle Slayton also that was talking to her for a bit.
We talked to her like a couple times. She's great.
Everyone was awesome, man. Love it. And it was cool to just like be in that, because last year we were there. We were like, hello, who are you? Why are you invited here?
We're comedians. I know what you're thinking. We would have to like do the whole thing.
But this time around, people were like, hey, Christian, how's it going? Grant Wall even said, it was like, hey, what's up? Grant Wall.
Which that last name fits because sometimes he stonewalls you a little bit.
But he was really cool. It was awesome.
That's dope. Our name is bubbled a little bit.
Look at that.
Okay.
All right. A little upgrade.
Every time.
So let's talk about Media Day. The women's national team. This was huge.
We went to Twitter's offices.
That's right.
We were there. We were going there anyway just to get me verified.
Really? Yeah.
Strong arming.
Banging on the door. Making a scene.
Hell yeah. But it just so happened that there was a media day there.
Yes.
So we're like, all right, cool. We'll stick around for this.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, all worked out. Thank you for like aligning that with our schedules to make it messy out in the Twitter offices.
That's what we try to do. My favorite thing is I have a friend who works at the Twitter offices.
Okay.
He's like, yo, I'll be right down. They wouldn't let him in the room. He works there.
Look at that.
They wouldn't let him in the room.
You ain't got that Cooligans access.
Absolutely. You know how we do. We can walk wherever we want. You got media pass, VIP pass, gully pass. And so he was like, yeah. Like I heard him call. He's like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, hey, man, they won't let me in. I'm like, yo, you have an ID. Like you work here.
Yeah.
Like you have like the boop.
Just scan the thing on the door.
Yeah. And the security guard's like, nah, man, this is just for media people and the women's national team. And I was like, sorry, homie.
Okay.
Go back to your spreadsheets, my guy. Whatever it is you do.
Whatever data trending analytics that you got to look through.
Yeah, that's right. Get out of here, nerd. I don't know you. By the way, best coffee I think I've ever had in my life.
At the Twitter offices. Okay, I didn't have this coffee.
Legitimate. It's called the Hairbender. And it's their own
The
mix.
last Hairbender?
I don't know what that is.
Thank you to all the nerds that know what I'm talking about.
Somebody just dropped their iPhone because of that reference. I know it. I'm sorry. Somebody just dropped their Android. Let's be honest. Yeah. So we were like hanging out, and all of a sudden they said like all the women's national team players are going to come out. Right? I'm like, all right, so we'll meet a couple of them, but there's a lot of media people there. They're bum rushing around asking these boring ass questions. You should have seen some of these people.
Yes, let's go down the list.
Yeah, here's the people I don't like. Look, they're great people, but they are tasked with asking.
It's an important job. They need to do that job.
Absolutely. They're tasked with asking. That's not their choice most of the time. Yeah. They're like, these are the things I have to get so that I could write this one article and move on with my day, right? And that's what they're doing. We saw the girl, one of the Shannon from Soccer Girl Problems was there. There was a bunch of cool people was there. Marwan was there. So it was such dope people. But yeah, so like we always wonder like what's our role in these events?
How long? I feel like we're gonna overstep some boundary at some point.
It's like Dennis the Menace showing up at like a boarding school. We're just like, I feel like our cultures don't mix. So we were like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe we'll ask a couple questions. And then all of a sudden, Ali Krieger walks in.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So, I need to like kind of frame this because
this is important.
This was. I'll say how I felt in this. Going to U.S. Women's National Team Media Day, and we had never been to any U.S. soccer media event. We've been MLS stuff, other kind of events.
This is probably the single most important media day we've ever attended.
Correct. And I'll say this: it felt. If I've never, I don't know, it felt so significant and important, and I felt privileged to be in that room.
It was 100%. Everyone needs to know this. Whoever, invited us or approved of us going, it was an absolute honor to be a part of that.
Without a doubt. And literally everyone was there. We met Megan Rapinoe.
Yes.
I can't even still believe I met her, and she was the nicest person. And
I was just BSing with Ashlyn Harris.
That's right. We're just having a little fun, just talking. And
who, by the way, can I just say this? Out of any player we've ever met, man or woman, she has the most BDE.
That's right.
She carries herself in a way where I'm like, yo, B, what you want to do later?
That's the kind of confidence I'm trying to strive for and try to be like her.
Wow. She carries herself in a way where I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, whatever you say. I'm about that now. Even my wife was like, I don't know. She's just so hot. I'm like, yo, stop looking at her.
So, yes, there were so many, I guess that's the best way to put it, because the women's national team not only represents a soccer team, a lot of the questions that were asked during the press conference towards Jill Ellis, towards Carly Lloyd,
Alex Morgan, yeah.
A lot of them were not just about about the game or about the World Cup.
They're changing social norms.
About social norms, really fighting for equality.
And Rapinoe didn't hold back at all and give a media trained answer. She's like, no, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
So these women are more than just athletes. They are inspirational figures
and they're role models
to a lot of people. Yes, they're very much role models, and to us as well. And it was. That's what I want to make that clear, because it was so significant to me, and it really did touch me. And it was like after leaving, I'm like, man, I can't. Again, we started this podcast in our kitchen. We are. I can't. We say this all the time, but we mean it. We are two dummy comedians, and now we are being allowed to speak to a team that's about to go represent the U.S. The overwhelming favorite to win the World Cup. Yes.
And just before they leave, we're a part of the group that gets to speak to
everybody,
them.
Before you go, you got to talk to these two guys.
We started a podcast next to my refrigerator.
That's right. That was our first guest, that refrigerator.
Especially because it would make noise during the show. You heard every once in a while.
So, yes, it was absolutely incredible. So, with that said, going there, we didn't know exactly what to expect. We always, whenever we're in these forums, it does feel like, we do feel a little bit like fish out of water. But we were able to have a good time with it, and we had fun. But yes, we did bump into Ali Krieger because she is on the roster.
I'm sorry. Ali Krieger sought us out.
Ali Krieger. Okay, so if I could, so right now.
Before we start this, I also want to say, when we joke around and say she's our bestie, we actually might be.
We might be. So now
I also want that so bad. Yes. Because the two of them have such a great. I just want to hang out in the patio and sip some vino.
Okay, so we are standing by. They basically have all the players come out in sections.
Yeah. And by the way, this building is an old factory, so they have these massive sort of round pillars.
Yeah.
In the middle of the room, there's a bunch of them. I would say every 15 and 20 feet. There's a large, very old stone pillar.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Ali Krieger it's her turn to come out to talk to media. She comes into the room.
We got near the table because they put the little placard of what table. So we're like, we're not going to sit down, right?
But we know where she's going to be. We'll hang out around here.
We'll say what's up.
And then there's she comes out, and then a pillar is obstructing her view, or our view from her.
Right. So as she enters to come to the table, the pillar is in between the entrance and us.
Yes.
So we can't see her, but apparently she must have seen us on the way in.
Yes. And then also what she does is do a little peek around the pillar.
But with a face like, oh my God, guys, it's me. And it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like my mom, I was 10 years old, was like, your dad's coming back. It was the only way I can explain the joy that went through my body.
So, we joke around, and we joke around about going to the wedding and having a lot of fun, having her on the podcast. But that moment was like, yo, I think we're friends.
Yeah.
I think we're like for real friends.
Legit in that moment, I'm like, yo, she might ask us to be the best men. You know? Or at least usher. You know?
Or the wedding jester or something. We'll do whatever.
The MC of the reception. Something.
It genuinely felt that way. I was just like, whoa, I had like a warm feeling in my heart where I'm like, I'm so happy I bumped into Allie today.
Yo, it was like, it changed the mood of the whole day because we were sitting there kind of like, let's not go too crazy because it's like a respectful event.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to ask like really dumb questions or wild or say something, and it kind of like, there wasn't a pressure, but it was kind of like, what are we really doing here? Like, we're happy to be here, but what should we be doing? And then that moment, I was like, this is why we came.
Yeah. Yeah.
She immediately hugged you.
Yeah.
Immediately ran up and hugged me. And I was just like, yeah, am I allowed to touch?
Yeah,
am I allowed to wrap my arms around
it's
it?
a very professional setting. I'm like, it's weird. We're the only ones who hugged national team players.
Nobody else. And there was a guy who's like almost like a showrunner, if you will.
Yeah.
And he was helping coordinate. Mm-hmm. And he had like the thing in his ear, and he walks up. So like we're literally like laughing and giggling, the three of us.
Yeah.
Right? Little schoolgirls, the three of us. And we're just like, what's up with you? Oh my God, I spoke to Ashley and she's great. She's amazing. And I'm like, she said this and I said this and I got it on video. She's like, can I see the video? And like the three of us are just like, we're just like,
just gabbing.
Just gabbing.
Gabbing with the national team players. You know how we do.
Right? That's another segment we're going to do, just gabbing with Allie. Okay? And then all of a sudden the guy comes over and he said it in a way where it was like, I'm helping Allie get out of this. He was like, Allie, time to sit down.
Okay, yeah.
And Allie
These
was like,
men are accosting one of our players.
Wasting your time will save you. And Allie goes, when I'm done. And turns back around and keeps talking to us. And that guy was like, damn. And I was like, yeah, that's right, son.
What you know about that?
Right? We ain't ready for a commercial break on Gabbing with Allie just yet.
Yeah. It was...
I can't explain how much my mood was lifted.
Yeah, it was just surreal. It was so fun.
And by the way, none of this happens. None of this is because of her celebrity status or anything. She is just that genuinely great of a human being.
Yeah.
That I feel honored that I got a chance to meet her.
Yeah. Likewise.
For anyone who's listening who's young and has is looking for a role model, Allie is that person.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
She's very much so. So, everyone, we met everybody. We met literally every single player, and everyone was...
I think I didn't get a chance to meet Mallory Pugh. That's the only
Mallory Pugh, she was in the farther end. The first startling thing is a lot of times you see these women, and you realize, especially Mallory Pugh, who's like an absolute boss on the pitch,
She's
right?
a beast.
But when you see her in person, she looks like a little girl. She looks like a little girl.
She has like a very, like you do, like a very young face.
Yes, yeah.
But like when you see her on the field, she's like scowling and she's hunting players down and stuff. And then when you see her in person and she's just smiling, you're like,
okay,
what?
Yeah.
She looks like she's going to try to sell you cookies.
She's like 5'3" or 5'4", just little.
And I get shocked. Like when we first met Rose Lavelle, I'm like, you can't be the same person that shoves human beings off you. You can't.
Yeah, but they are. They are. So, so a whole thing was cool.
Allie Long was awesome. Like everybody was just so cool.
Yeah. So
the only person we really probably should have and really didn't get a chance to because she was just literally hounded for the moment she got in was Alex Morgan.
Alex Morgan, yeah.
And it's for a lot of reasons. People were asking a lot of questions that they didn't tell us not to, but they were like, hey, remember, this is about the World Cup. Stop asking out all the other questions. But people were trying to kind of edge to get someone to sort of get, what's it called? A sound cue? Or
a sound bite?
A sound bite. And people were asking those questions, so we tried to stay away from that. Like, I saw Carly Lloyd. I was like, yo, what up, Jersey?
Yeah.
She high-fived me. I'm like, yo, Carly Lloyd.
She did. And Carly Lloyd, one of the most intense human beings you'll ever meet.
On the field... You hope the final whistle blows because you're like, I think she's going to hurt somebody.
She is insanely intense. I mean, it's like it was cool to see the different personalities on the team, and you can sort of sense the who serves sort of what role and the certain standout leaders. But Carly Lloyd, I would follow her. I would be on front line in an army for that woman. The woman is like, yo, I am about this World Cup. Remember they were asking her about if she's going to to bring family. She's like, I don't want my family anywhere.
I don't want them calling me.
I don't want them anywhere near me. I'm focused on winning another World Cup,
And
man.
the fucking thing she said, it's honestly like listening to a general speak.
Yeah.
Because she goes, it's not about superstition. This is just what works for me. I don't want my family there.
Yeah.
I'm there to play. This is my job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, she's going to steal the World Cup trophy if she doesn't win it. Like, she's going to bring it home one way or another.
Yeah, you probably see like another player like praying with a Bible. He'd be like, get that out of here. We don't need anything.
Believe in me.
I'm your God now.
I was floored.
Yeah. Just awesome, man.
And O'Hara, I mean, these folks.
Emily Sonnet, everybody.
Sonnet was amazing. I mean, everybody was just so like, they're not chill. They were like annoyed that people were asking them questions that didn't have to do with them winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, let's talk about what's going to happen, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to go in, and everyone was like, one game at a time. We're not thinking about the next game. We're thinking about Thailand.
Yeah. All right.
Damn. I wouldn't want to be Thailand. That's what I'm saying.
The word Thailand was said quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's just an incredible experience. And then and to wrap it up, we did go to the game.
That's right.
The women's national team played at Red Bull Arena against Mexico. They won 3-0. Obviously, you expect them to win this game, but they did play well. The somewhat of a concern that Mexico didn't put up, like, it's not going to be the biggest challenge that they're going to see at the World Cup. So we don't know exactly. They weren't. They won 3-0, but they weren't like.
They weren't crisp.
Yeah, that's sort of like the little bit of a concern.
Yeah, a lot of passes in open spaces where players are making different runs. Seems like not everyone was on the same page, but I know Jill switched up the formation 2 or 3 times during that game.
Towards the end, there was a moment where Tobin Heath was playing left back. I remember I mentioned it during the game. I'm like, why is Tobin Heath all the way back there? That's she does not belong all the way back.
She's got too much sauce to be back there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's all the way back there with all that sauce.
Yeah. It's like you don't put the cheese on the pizza before the dough is done. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm sure everybody gets that.
Everyone understands.
Yeah.
So, I was reading. There was an article from Meg Linehan, who was
she's written some great articles for the Athletic.
And she did point out that Jill Ellis was trying that formation in case something went wrong. So basically, having Tobin play left back and be like a very much attacking, like a wing back. Yeah. So because when you see Tobin Heath back there getting passes from like Dahlkemper and stuff, you're like, all right, this feels uncomfortable. What's going on here? But Tobin Heath's got a goal. Who else?
Carly Lloyd, but that got called back.
Yeah, she ended up getting one, right? Or was it Pugh? I don't remember who got that. It was her, Kristen Press, and
Press had the last one.
And I think Lloyd got that third one. If I could be wrong, but whatever. So, but
it was a fun time.
Mexico. They looked okay. But just the U.S. women's national team is just so much better. That's really the main issue.
I will say, like, there's a lot of skilled players in Mexico. I think the number 10 and the number 6 really impressed us. Their midfield, their attacking midfielders, really impressive. I'm not sure who those women were, but they were very impressive.
They didn't have their names on their
on
their
the
kits, yeah.
But they had there was just not a chance for them to get in the final third.
Yeah, they just could not get there.
Like, even when they had some possession, they just couldn't get it really further down. I mean, really impressed for a team that wasn't banging on all cylinders. Yeah, very impressed.
Generally, super cool. Being, I had never been to a U.S. women's national team game. Just awesome. What an awesome experience. I mean, a full Red Bull Arena. How many young girls getting to see their heroes?
Yeah.
It was a much more like comparatively to a men's game. It had a way more, I don't know, significant. I'm using the word a lot, but like this significant, this important sort of thing, and
there was like
it meant so much to people.
Yeah, it had a feeling of something so much more than let's hope we go out there and play well. This is the harder you cheer, the better they'll play.
Yeah, and how much love Carly Lloyd got so much love from from New Jersey residents. They were
they did a full firework just for her. Everyone else got like a pew pew, and then hers was like blah, 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 blah.
It was a Mallory pew pew pew.
Yeah.
So awesome, cool experience. Just like this whole weekend, and Memorial Day, and it's like this patriotism, this everything sort of overlapping, and like we're seeing.
And we got to march with AO. We forgot to mention.
Yeah, American
AO
Outlaws were awesome too. Donald was out there.
Yeah,
we had some sangrias that got us twisted.
Got a little light foot.
Them Newark sangrias.
Yeah, they only make them one size bucket. I remember you and I did a video where, like, at Catas, which is where they all met up so we could march from there, and the police had shut down the bridge, which goes over from Ironbound section in Newark into Harrison, so we could walk over it. And some of the staff, when you mentioned like, yo, we're here in Alexis's hometown, some of the staff like stopped what they were doing to see what we were going to say. And like, we're just joking around about the size of the sangria, and they were all laughing. But you could see in their faces, they're like, no one's ever complained about the size. Like, honestly, it's huge. It looks like a beach bucket without handles, like a bucket you make like sandcastles with.
Sure.
And that's the size of the sangria.
Yeah.
And are we the first ones to ever suggest that maybe that's too much sangria?
No. I mean, maybe the police that are... picking up the people off the sidewalk might be saying the same thing.
Also, it's wine, dude. We got like exhausted. We were wine. We look like Hoda, Kathy, and
Hoda
and Griffin.
Man. We should. That would be. Imagine they talked about soccer while drunk in the morning. So. It was great. The whole experience. There were a bunch of Cooligans fans that we saw. From DC. Danielle, we saw.
What's that one dude who was like, "Yo, I think that's the Cooligans over there."
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Because you were like walking around with a camera, and I'm like, I'm literally standing in front of this guy half a foot away. I'm like. I'm literally right here. He goes, oh my god!
That was cool. Getting to see all the NYCFC fans, Rebel fans, like everybody, kind of like in the New York area, tri-state, like be at one place supporting, for one common cause. It was like a cool.
That was dope. It was absolutely dope.
We had a blast, man. So. All right, so a couple other things before we get to our next segment with Matty Doyle.
That's right, baby.
Let's talk about a couple things going on in MLS. Oh, actually, let's start with this. There's not really any big details about it, but a match-fixing scandal in La Liga. We don't know. There's no details necessarily.
I think it's all made up. Leave those guys alone.
What's the match-fixing? Barcelona's going to win. Yeah. We know.
The whole thing is fixed.
Apparently, from the article I read, 18 players have been apparently caught or been.
And this is top flight. This is La Liga. Yeah. So because previously they said something like 24 people were arrested previously for the lower leagues.
Yeah.
There was like a gang that was making them like do so many corners per game so they could bet on that, like prop bets.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Tough way to fix a game.
But they're like, no one will catch us.
Like subtle statistics. So when we hear more about it, we'll talk about it. I mean, I don't know. The only thing this reminded me of was the thing we had with, remember Juan Agudelo? Remember Juan Agudelo was our first ever guest, and when we were setting up the interview,
we were so nervous. We were like, a real player's going to talk to us.
And we were trying to set up the call, and he sent us a text being like, "Oh, I can't. I'm in a meeting right now.
I'm going to be late," because we were like, "Can you do this at this time?" And he wouldn't respond to our text for a while. And then eventually he's like, "Yeah, I could do it at that. I'll be driving home."
Yes.
And we're like, "Ooh, all right." And then he's like, "Hey, man, we're going to be late." And he sends a picture of a whiteboard. And in the middle of that whiteboard, there was nothing else on it. It just says, match fixing meeting. Like whatever, noon. And I'm like,
so I'm like, why?
I looked at the photo. I go, "Yo, Christian." And he's like, "Why did he send us?
Why did he send us? Are we accomplices to this?
Oh my God, we're all gonna get in trouble,
So, and then when we get on the phone, we ask him. We're like, "Yo, Juan, what was that match fixing thing?" And he's like, "It's a match fixing meeting."
And I'm like, "Yo, Juan." First of all, thank you. That's pretty dope. But
why you really must trust us?
Yeah, and we're like, "Yo, like, why would you send that to us? You're not gonna get in trouble." And he goes, "It's a meeting on how to like watch out for
people who are trying to influence matches and like how to avoid it."
And we're like, oh. And he was like, "What did you think it was?" I was like, "I thought they were showing you how to fix a match." And he's like, "What?"
Yo, what's going on in New England, dog?
He's like, "You guys are dumb."
So that's what it reminded me of. But when we get more details, we'll talk about it some more. But obviously, it's it's just ridiculous, and you don't want to see it in football. But so we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep an eye on it. So real quick, let's talk about a couple games. Philadelphia Union played. They hosted the Portland Timbers.
Yeah, they
Timbers, who have played every game on the road this season.
They have not been home yet.
They have not, because their stadium is being renovated, and it is finally going to be ready this coming week.
Congrats, Kayla. Congrats, everybody. Danny now is a part of the team.
Kayla Knapp, you built it.
Yeah.
You built the renovation.
You were there with your hard hat.
So good on you, kid. But the Timbers win this game 3-1. And right, Philadelphia Union, best team in the Eastern Conference. The Timbers have not had they didn't have the greatest start this year. But then when Brian Fernandez comes in, I love, nothing makes me happier than Spanish people with American names, but said
Spanishizing it.
Spanishizing.
It's the best.
There's nothing better. Yeah. All right.
Like an OG one was Theodore.
Okay.
Theodore,
yeah.
But Theodore, and I'm like, yeah.
I mean, to me, the biggest one has to be James Rodriguez, right?
Yeah, but
that's insane.
So many people are like, we know it's James. Like, we say James in Latin America.
Yeah.
But they were like, say it the way we want to say it.
Because it is, James would be Jaime.
Yeah.
That is the proper Spanish
translation.
Version of that name. James is ridiculous. I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, excuse me? What is this? And then
it's like if you name your kid Haimie.
But now every time I see the name James, I'm like, oh, that's James. Why are they saying it James?
Damn, why are you pronouncing it incorrectly?
Yo, you mad weird.
What? You don't read the King James Bible? I do.
Oh wow, I didn't realize you didn't have Jesus in your life.
Yeah, I didn't know you didn't have Jesus in your life.
So, but yes, the inclusion of Brian Fernandez has been insane. He was the dude. He came from Necaxa, right?
Yeah.
He leaves the team, literally spitting on a fan who's like accosting him.
Peace. That's how he deuces out.
You're right. A fan really insults his mother and all this other stuff. He spits at him. He's like it really gets a suspension, and he's like, whatever, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I don't even go here no more.
Yo, this ain't my school no more.
So he left, and now he's looking pretty comfortable in Portland, man.
Kid's
he's having
a bruiser too, man.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of flair in what he does. He's gonna go through you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's gonna shove you. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I like the game.
He's looking good, and he was a part of that second goal that was just incredible. The slip from Bedoya that he took, and then Austin Trusty also slips after Fernandez does the drag back, and then Char lays it off. It was just a gorgeous play that came off. Even though Philadelphia they have had a good start, they just made a couple mistakes that hurt them, and Portland, especially with a new striker.
Yeah,
are real threats. So, but I'm excited to see the new stadium. They're adding 4,000 seats to Providence Park.
They have a whole new stand.
It's going to be incredible. And it says SCUSA, right? Soccer City USA. In the seats. Yeah. I think it's going to add...
SCUSA, also how Giovinco used to pardon himself.
Exactly. But I think it's going to add to, an extra 4,000 people in a stadium that already had
an amazing atmosphere.
Nearly 20,000.
Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to add to this lore of, Timbers lore. And
that stadium is so dope because it's like the overhang is made of wood. It's such a cool place to be.
Yeah. So next up, let's talk about Toronto against San Jose. And real quick, really, 2 more goals from Wondolowski.
He ain't gonna stop.
I think Toronto didn't watch the game last week against Chicago.
He doesn't touch the ball unless it's to score a goal.
He doesn't even pass it to people.
No.
He passes it in the net exclusively.
If you pass it to him and he's not near goal, he hops over it. I don't want
it. Hey, this must have not been for me.
Yeah, there got to be somebody behind me because I ain't standing in front of the goalkeeper.
But both of his goals almost. identical,
Yeah.
right? It's again.
He's like our Arjen Robin. You know what he's going to do.
Yes.
And you just can't stop him.
Last week when he broke the record, we were talking about how great Wando is, and we were making, analyzing it the way the Coolings can only analyze it, basically saying like, he doesn't do nothing, and then he has all the goals.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
And some San Jose fans got all up in the mentions.
Which is fine.
You must not watch San Jose. No, we don't. We don't get the bird's eye view on our streaming.
But no, look, he and like I said it before, his game is very subtle, but it's lethal.
His movement is insane. His spacing is wild.
It's crazy because when you see these 2 goals, you're like, yo, does Toronto not have like the game plan on this dude?
I got an idea. Put your arm behind you and touch the dude. So when he's starting to move.
If you don't got Wando in your hands, you're doing something wrong.
Yo, he's going to score on you.
Because, and that's exactly what... Look, just patience. When the ball is outside the box, he's like... It must be this thing that I don't know if they train for it particularly.
It's uncanny.
He just knows exactly where the ball is going to be.
Innate.
Yeah, he moves before the ball is struck for the pass.
And he goes to. You know what he does too? He hits the ball just like 4 or 5 inches away from where the defender is putting his foot.
Yes,
thinking the ball's going to go. There's something about his movement where he hits it just a little bit earlier than you think he's going to.
Yeah.
Like your perception is, these 2 things are going to meet here, and he's just a little bit off to the left.
Yeah,
of it.
there's always I think defenders are like, they must have that feeling like, there's no breakdown in this defense right now. That my left back or right back, the center back is like looking at the left, and they're like, oh no, they're not going to get a pass through.
Yeah, there's no way that could squeak through.
Yeah, and it's like, nah, and if it does, Wando's going to get there before
Wando's
you.
just going to score. I said this while we were watching the highlights of the game. I feel like his touches per goal are like 1.1, 1.2.
Yeah. It's just...
Because as soon the ball is passed off his foot into the goal most of the time.
Yeah. It's really surreal to watch it because, again, he looks like he doesn't play soccer. He plays striker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. He is not involved at all. He's like, when you need me.
Okay, I show up when the lights are on.
It's like if you gave like those bomb sniffing dogs, if you put just a bunch of cocaine in front of them, they'd be like, what's all this white powder? I'm not barking. You know what I mean? I got one job.
It's got nothing to do with me.
If this shit got wires hanging out of it, maybe I'll make a little noise.
So, but no, San Jose wins this game again. Another win. All right. We were concerned about them at the beginning of the season. They were getting shellacked a couple of times. And now it looks like, and now Wando's even starting. And maybe this might be the future of Almeida's team. I don't know.
You know what they did? They took the boogeyman and threw it at Columbus Crew.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What do they got? 8 out of the last 9 losses?
Yeah, they're not playing well.
Actually, look at the form. Them and Cincy.
Yeah.
All of Ohio, yo.
Okay, the hell is real derby is going to be nice and fun.
The hell is here, derby.
So, last game we'll talk about is Sporting Kansas City against the Seattle Sounders. Incredible game.
What a great game.
And in Sporting Kansas City fashion, are giving up a bunch of goals.
Leave it late.
Yes, they have to score a bunch with this iteration of the team and all the injuries that they do have. But a hat trick from Johnny Russell.
That curler is.
Yes, I know a lot of Sporting Kansas City fans are very happy just to, get 3 points and, not give up, not drop points in the end of a game, hold on to a lead and see Johnny Russell kind of do what Johnny Russell does, right? Yeah. It's like the last couple weeks, for whatever reason, he, the way we're used to seeing him slice through 2 defenders, that happened a bunch last year and get great goals, wasn't happening. The last couple of weeks.
He is one of those momentum players. Like when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
And there's not many people that could stop him. And you're seeing it now. It seemed like honestly, at one point he was quadrupled on the way to goal. Yeah. And it was like one of those cartoons where like everyone starts fighting one guy and that guy crawls out of the scrum.
A little cloud,
yeah. And they're still fighting each other. That's kind of how I don't even think he realizes, like, oh my God, it's just me and the keeper.
He like, whatever. And that's Johnny was just what he does. And he just had one of the games of his, like, career. Like, he just totally on point. And you sort of don't expect it against Seattle, which generally a pretty good team, especially defensively. With
Seattle's in second place. place.
Yes, but and we can't talk about Seattle giving up 3 goals without talking about Chad Marshall retiring. He announced his retirement. A great article in The Athletic from Matt Pence about him, and but just like like a lot of players, we weren't following their careers since the beginning. But Chad Marshall winning the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, won MLS Cup in Columbus. And
he got drafted with Dempsey, and I can't remember Dempsey put up the photo.
Okay.
Chad Marshall's got like the spiky hair all over.
Sure, that was the look, yo.
That was it, yo.
That was that.
By the way,
Justin
young
Timberlake.
Chad Marshall still looks like old Chad Marshall. Chad just always looked like a dad.
He's always been a dad.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it is. I believe we met him in Toronto for the first Seattle-Toronto MLS Cup. One where they won. Yeah, I think we saw in one of the media scrums or whatever. He was there. But he's reading more about his career. Like the dude has been a rock in as far as in one of the just greatest defenders MLS has ever seen. And we were sort of concerned. Like apparently he had an injury last year in the playoffs, and it was a mention of that he needed an epidural in his knee to play one of the games this season.
Ouch.
So I mean, he must have been in excruciating pain and dealing with a lot, and he was try to give it his all. But you see the fact that to retire a third into the season,
just like out of nowhere.
Yeah, so it must have been really, really hard for him and his family.
Yeah.
And but we wish him all the best, and he's gonna, from all accounts, the dude is a great dude. There was a great mention in the article that they were asking him what they asked Stephen Fry, what are you going to remember Chad Marshall by? And he's like, can I be PG in this or PG-13? He said, the nakedness. The man is always naked. Which, what a fun detail.
Come on, Chad. You invite your friends over, and I guess your dad, if you had one walking around in his underwear, that's Chad Marshall.
Just a Chad. Just that's what Chad does.
Chad being Chad, dude. Hanging Chad.
The name Chad, you expect that from a Chad.
Yeah.
Just
that's a real Chad move.
A real naked in the locker room.
So you're just going to wear visors and socks, and that's it?
So that's what he did. So look, we're going to miss you in the league, man. I know. Without a doubt, Seattle Sounders fans are gonna miss him. He's a hero to the team and very much a leader, captain of the team. So it's gonna be. Was he captain? Oh no, it was Ozzie Alonso. Was he captain this year?
I don't know, but he's definitely one of the leaders of the team.
He's a captain in our hearts.
Yeah.
But in this game, they not only did Johnny Russell have that great, cut through a bunch of defenders. But then Leerdam had that great spin in the box, just straight up 360, rotating the analog stick, just right?
Using all the finesse moves.
Okay, all right. I didn't know your FIFA rating was that high, my dude.
Damn, you got 5 stars on the skill.
And it was just gorgeous. But the Sounders couldn't do it. Only get 2 goals. Because Johnny Russell just had the game of his life. So
yeah, and those are the breaks. But they're climbing up a little bit. They're in 11th place. I mean, Colorado Rapids are going to make sure they cushion that for them. Sure. Although they got 2 wins in a row, huh?
Okay.
All right. Come on, Pids.
Yo, Jonathan Lewis looking good getting a goal.
Yeah.
So we told you.
We've been saying it.
If you've been listening to this show, we might have had to rename it to the Jonathan Lewis Hype Machine.
Hell yeah, because we 100% been talking about this dude's game, and all of a sudden it's coming true.
Honestly, look, I'm gonna put this out there. I don't know, but I think we may have driven the price of Jonathan Lewis up a little bit for NYCFC. I don't think that's a crazy thing to suggest.
Maybe that's because we kept adding segments called Told You So every time he did something well. I feel like Greg Berhalter, in between buying off-white Blazers, shouts to you, Berhalter, Triple G. I think he was listening to this podcast, and he was like, I need to help this dude move from one team to another.
Okay, yeah. Greg Berhalter is Jonathan Lewis's agent now. So, all right. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk to our guest, Matthew Doyle.
Matty Doyle, baby.
Major League Soccer. You know him. You love him.
The Cooligans analyst.
That's right. So we'll be right back with Matt Doyle after this.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We just want to break in with a word from one of our sponsors, us and you, Gully Squad. You guys have been absolutely amazing. This is it, 200th episode. Of course, it wouldn't be a 200th episode with a bunch of audio errors and a bunch of mistakes, but we love you, and hopefully you guys love us back. And for those of you who've joined Gully Squad, you've been absolutely amazing. None of this would have been able to happen without you guys. This would have been absolutely so much more difficult, and we made 200 episodes because of you. So for everyone who helped us out a little bit, whether you left a review, did something nice, showed up to one of our shows, said something nice on Twitter, whatever it is, left a dope review, you have pushed us to the point where we can get to 200 episodes, and that's just the beginning. But those of you who've joined Gully Squad have absolutely been a godsend and a lifesaver to us, and thank you so much everyone who's thinking about joining Gully Squad. And if you're thinking about joining Gully Squad, trust us, it makes a huge difference. Every little bit helps. If you want to join, go to soccercooligans.com/Gully Squad, or you can just go to soccercooligans.com and click on the Join Gully Squad link. It's massive help. All that money goes right back into the show and makes this show possible, whether it's travel or merch or just paying for someone to help us edit stuff or to get stuff out on time. All of that little bit absolutely helps. You guys have been absolutely tremendous, and we want to keep giving you amazing content. We want to keep giving you such amazing stuff to look at and to listen, all that cool stuff that you can share, stuff that makes you laugh, stuff that brightens your day. Hopefully it doesn't get you into a car accident. Please relax while you're listening to us and driving, all that stuff. We want to give you more, and the easiest way to do that is to join Gully Squad. You may or may not be a member of the secret, maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, Facebook group, maybe, I don't know. If it does, then you be in there. If it doesn't, then I don't know. If you got to join Gully Squad to find out if it exists or not, then you get to be a part of the show. You help us curate it. We ask you questions. In the next segment, we're going to ask Matt Doyle a couple questions. Most of those questions came directly from Gully Squad members, so you get a chance to be a part of the show in a much more intimate level. And if you want to do that, absolutely, we'd love for you to do it. Go to soccercooligans.com/Gully Squad, or go to soccercooligans.com and click on Join Gully Squad and become a member today. Yeah, baby, we're back!
We are back.
Yeah.
It's stoked. And this is, for some people, 200th episode, nice little surprise. We bring him into the studio.
We got to bring in the most important guests.
Literally, all right? When it comes to American soccer and this man, I mean, they are like this, son.
Yeah. Who else has taught you more about formations that you didn't want to know?
And whiskey.
That's right, brown liquor. Little scotch.
It should be a brown liquor special right here.
Absolutely. I mean, you heard the voice, you saw the name when you clicked on it. We are super excited to finally have him in studio. First time we talked to him was in my kitchen, and now here we are. Okay?
Little upgrade?
Yeah. And by the way, I treat this place like my living room, so we ain't moving that far. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you're driving, and you know what? Pull over, honestly, so you can put your hands together for the one, the only, the Matt Doyle, everybody.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's good to be here in person.
Thank you so much,
Finally.
man. I have to say, really, the only thing I can say to Matt Doyle is thank you so much for the genuine support for what we've been doing. It's meant a lot to me, and it's meant a lot to us.
That's important, because a lot of people have rooted us on. A lot of people have wished us luck, but not many people have actively supported us and helped us.
I was only doing that for my brand,
Got
to be
it.
honest.
But it works.
It's like it reflects, right? So there's some mutual aspect to it, but it was mostly about me.
Okay, good.
Why do you think we care about soccer? We don't, all right? This is all to get people out to the
You
shows.
saw American soccer. This is the way to get rich. Obviously, this is.
You go for the biggest fish.
Matt, I'm glad you got in early on the Cooligans.
Good investment.
It is an absolute honor to have you here because we are genuine fans, like a lot of people are genuine fans of what you do, and it is.
Wait, what do I do?
Okay,
More a fan of how you do it.
Okay, you know what? Didn't think there was going to be a follow-up question.
Ooh, now we got to do research.
No, but when it comes, this is the. I remember this is how I felt when I started doing stand-up comedy, right? And I would go to comedy shows. I would see comedians that I had never heard of, right? Like I would see people who were the funniest human beings in the world, and I'm like, how have I never heard of this person? And then when I started following you and watching your work, that's how I felt about the soccer world. I'm like, how did I not know that
this existed
that
out
Matt
there?
Doyle sort of existed? Like, and that says a lot about just the American soccer and its culture and how it sort of, it's not much on ESPN and stuff like that.
Niche.
It's niche.
Niche is a way to put it for sure. It has an audience.
It does.
It's very well defined, but it has an audience.
There are good fences, make good neighbors type of thing within American soccer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a really, really nice intro, and that makes me feel good. You're blowing me up right here at the start, so I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's coming.
Okay.
Well, let's ask a first question. How does it feel to see how far we've come? I mean, this
You know
is
what?
amazing.
I look at you guys and what you've done, and it's authentic, and it's funny, and it's repeatable. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people start podcasts, or a lot of people start even Twitter feeds, and they don't follow through with it. And you guys have done that. So what I would say, the best thing about the Cooligans is that you're still here.
Yeah.
Okay. You're still here.
Hey, that's a compliment. right
Hey,
there, baby.
we're
These
relevant. Okay.
They exist.
Yeah, baby. And we ain't going nowhere.
I mean, it says more than some Major League Soccer teams that have
That's true.
contracted.
You are not the Miami Fusion.
Yeah, been a lot of Chivas USAs in the podcast world. Not us.
But no, it is cool. Again, it is. We can talk about all our great
We can
accomplishments.
talk about ourselves as much as we want. We'll do
but
that off camera.
Let's start with the fact that you are in studio, right? The first time we had you on the show, and I think every time we've had you on the show, you were living in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
And now you are here in New York.
Greatest city in the world.
MLS has new studio, right? The last couple of years, there's been an active effort to, like, I think, put a face on MLS analyst, right?
No more of your Skypes with the cat in the background.
Which I think that was actually, I thought that was some good content, because my cats both have star power. So I'm going to work that into my next contract to get the cats into the studio.
Got it.
We need more cats in the background.
So what did that move feel like for you? Because you were very much more, I guess I'm the presumption is, journalist, and then getting on camera, and now it's like the face of the league to some degree.
It was weird, because when I got into sport, I was 14 years old when I started being a sports writer, and that was it. I never thought I would be...
You were in the U15s in journalism school?
I was, man. It was big. I was testing myself at the highest level. I was going up against European sports writers all the time.
I got to get my words per minute up, man. I think I'm going to get dropped.
I had I went to college and I didn't do any video stuff. I didn't do any radio stuff. I never thought I'd be behind a microphone or, in front of a camera, any of that sort of thing. But when I got the job with MLS, it was editing and it was a little bit of writing. And then, 5 years ago, everybody started to pivot to video.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had already done some, we had March to the Match, my podcast, which does not exist anymore.
No.
But I had also started
R.I.P. because it was great.
Thank you. We started doing some video work as well. And you guys know how it is. It's like same as stand-up. You do 200 bad sets before you do one good one.
Yes.
You need the reps. And I did 1,000 bad videos before I did one good one. But I ended up getting feedback from a lot of the, the folks in the industry. And people maybe don't know this about guys like Alexi Lawless and Taylor Twellman, is like, they are super generous with their time. Like they are probably the two biggest names in American soccer punditry, and I'll throw Stu Holden in there as well. Yeah. And all of them are willing to say, this is what you need to do. Here's how you do it. Do better at this. One, boom, boom, boom. That helped me get a lot better, so that by the time 2017 rolled around, that was like the heart of the pivot to video era, which we now know maybe kind of bullshit. But MLS had decided that we were going to invest in this studio, and I had a conversation with the higher ups, and they were like, well, right now we're asking you to come back. A year from now, it's probably not going to be an ask. I was like, I packed up the cats, packed up the wife, returned to New York
all
City.
in the same luggage, which is mean, I thought.
Carry on. I don't check back.
Oh, well, all right. Well, it is nice to have you here, even though it may have not been totally your choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have ended up back in New York, and I'm an East Coast boy. I'm from Connecticut. After college, I immediately moved to New York, lived here for a decade, and the original move out to the Bay Area, that came as a surprise.
Oh, okay.
That was like, we have a job opening, except you have to move across the country. And
I think most people listening don't know that MLS was HQ'd in San Francisco at one point.
It wasn't HQ'd, it was a satellite office.
Oh, okay.
It was a satellite office specifically of MLSsoccer.com, not of MLS itself. And then that got shut down in about 2014-15. And I was able to stay out there and work in my underwear from my living room for about 3 years, which is a great gig if you should ever get a gig like that.
Yeah, feel free to work in your underwear here.
I'm doing it now. Okay.
Nothing's stopping you, buddy.
I do not believe in pants. I will say that much. So coming back to New York was kind of natural, and it feels like home. It feels like being back home. A ton of my friends are still here, and like all the same haunts for the most part still exist. And now, you're older and you're tireder, so you go to bed at 1 a.m. instead of 3 or 4 a.m. as you young bucks probably.
Oh, hell yeah. We stay up till 6, 7 in the morning after we nap for 4 or 5 hours. But I mean, what is it for you? And I think you get asked this question a lot because you've been around. It seems like I made the joke in the beginning. It seemed like you were there at the ribbon cutting for the first MLS game. Like, it feels like you've been a part of this. We're at this point now where we're now getting DP managers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got Almeida, we've got DeBauer, we've got all these big names coming in. It seems like something has changed over the last 2 or 3 years. Honestly, more money, but also it seems like ever since you got on camera,
it's true.
It got more illustrious.
pays the bills.
This is the base.
No, I mean, it's the investment. The investment is a huge part from ownership, and I think from communities as well. I think communities seem more invested in the teams. You go to Seattle or Portland or Atlanta or Kansas City, almost all on down the line, and people are just into it in a way that they weren't. And then the other thing is domestic players are so much better now, and there are so many more of them than there were 10 or 15 years ago.
Buddy, this U20 squad,
looks
like a bunch of European kids playing.
This isn't even the best U20 squad. We got Tyler Adams is eligible for Josh Sargent, Jonathan Amma,
James Sands.
Sands, and you go down the list. I think you can make a U20 squad of guys who weren't even on this team that would beat the ones that were on the team that took the field yesterday and beat the hell out of Nigeria.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I think that has made it easier for people easier for the owners to say, okay, you know what? $1.5 million a year for the academy. Let's do that. $2 million a year for the USL team. Let's do that. Expand the salary cap. Let's do that. Oh, and by the way, Bayern Munich wants to pay us $13 million for our best player. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Suddenly this makes a lot of financial sense to me.
Yeah. And so I'm curious about what is the day of Matt Doyle right? So I imagine the people that are you, to me, you're one of these insiders, right? So
I know everything.
You're getting texts, from players.
I'm like a human panopticon, and I see the future, the past, all of it.
Yeah. Well, we
made that joke.
We just made the joke before. We said this before. But to me, you're one of these the Adam Schefter, right? You sort of just
you're the guy you go to for that league,
but so much. Is it what is the sometimes I'll see you on Twitter talking about very specific players in the U18s or U20s, and I'm like, how does he retain this information? Yeah. How many monitors does he have in front of him right now doing some?
Yeah, it's like when you sleep and a goal gets scored somewhere, you move it. You just you shuffle around a little bit.
I got that implant. Yeah. It's very cyberpunk. Yeah. It's like Johnny Mnemonic.
So what? You wake up in the morning. What's the first thing that you do? I'm genuinely curious.
I open the app and I check the scores and I see what games.
Okay.
And then I do Twitter and then I do our MLS. In terms of aggregating content, our MLS is it's amazing.
Yeah.
If you're starting a website and you want to be a soccer content, don't try to be a content aggregator because Reddit's going to beat you.
Yeah.
And then I have a half dozen sites that I check of course, MLS soccer being first.
Of course, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So up to the flagship.
It's exactly, right. It's exactly what you think. I have no other hobbies, guys.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. Like, I was like, I came to New York 20 years ago to be a playwright, but it wasn't actually to be a playwright. It was to meet girls. And I did. I ended up meeting my wife because of that. And like, that was my other hobby. And once you meet your wife, you don't need to meet other girls. So
it frees up a lot of time.
Frees up a lot of time to watch more soccer. And that is the story of my life. That's it right there.
I'm going to ask you a very Cooligans specific question. And if you don't want to answer, you do not have to. But as comedians, sometimes when we have free time and we're in front of our phones uninterrupted, we get a chance to check other comedian what they're doing, maybe edit a quick comedy video or something. What do you do when you poop? Like, what are you reading on your phone? I don't know. I know this is probably not what you want to answer, but you can't just be like, that's got to be the moment where you shut it off, right?
No.
Really?
All my best tweets, man. You see, if I'm letting out a banger,
when you're active?
I'm letting out a banger.
He's pitching all over. He's squeezing out a good tweet at the same time. That is amazing. I mean, you just don't shut it off, huh?
I'm trying to. So this is actually funny because like within the past month and a half or so, and then especially over the past week, I've been like, what is Twitter going to do for me? You know, because I have a career now, you know, and I'm doing pretty well with it.
Right.
And you reach more people on Twitter and you engage with people on Twitter, and I still value that. But I saw a tweet from, I think it was Jess Dweck, who you guys probably know. She's a great comedy writer. I think she writes Big Mouth and a couple other things. She's like, why are we on this hell website still? Because like the best case scenario is you lose your entire life. And the worst case scenario is like you're the sassiest person on Mashable's list of it. And, and that like hit home because it's like you're thinking about resigning every time you're sending out a tweet. And then I follow it up. After making the decision that I'm going to tweet less and I'm going to engage less, I follow it up by coming on this fucking show. Which is 100% going to get me fired at some point.
That's our goal.
We've added to the list of accomplishments.
That's right. Put another cross on the wall, Tim.
But it is like, so speaking of that, and one thing that you deal with a lot, and I love that you shut people down with it. You get the, you know, the similar to the shut up and dribble.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, man.
Yeah, you get a lot of stick to soccer tweets. Yeah. And when it's like, you know, you're a human being that just like all of us, we can talk about whatever we want on this public platform. But people get so emotionally attached to what you do that they're like, you're not allowed to do anything else.
You're like, have to stay in this lane, and you refuse to. And that's pretty dope.
Yeah. I would struggle. And to be fair, the people at MLS have never said, you know, shut this down. You can't tweet about this. Like, it's my personal Twitter account. I do use it to push, you know, the stories that I write or the videos that I do. Right. But it's my personal Twitter account, and I'm allowed to have my own personal feelings on stuff. I have tried to be, what's the word? Not quite respectful. No. But like, I'm like,
intelligent.
Yeah, well, there's no need to be respectful to people who are disrespectful to you. Like, there's no, as comics, like, I mean, we deal with it all the time. Like, literally, we're putting it's a risk. Yeah. Especially put in a joke, because you write a joke and that the bio says comedian, but all of a sudden, if they don't like the joke, then what is this hate speech that you have put out into the world? It's like, all right.
I've said stuff where I'm like, if you don't laugh, I basically started a meeting. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not a meeting I want to be a part of. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand this was satirical. You know? I enjoy more than just the soccer takes. Mm-hmm. You seem to be a well-rounded human being, and I'm glad that is delivered. Yeah,
that's a facade.
Totally fine.
He's at home just ripping heads off Barbies. You know?
So, do you have a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you're watching there's so many things that happen in a league, and so many people sort of use you as like, you're the figurehead. You get to speak for the league now. Like when Ariel Castillo worked there, so many people would like yell at her for like TAM, and she's like, guys, what makes you think I have any control over that? Like, what happens, and not even anything major, what happens when something happens that you disagree with or you also don't like? Are you able to voice that opinion, you think?
Oh, I've voiced that opinion.
Yeah, I know you have. I'm letting you say whatever you want.
I mean, there are pretty obvious things that you know, I don't talk about. Like, I'm not going to go overtly criticize any of the owners who are, you know, maybe doing things way differently than I would do.
Sure.
But I think I tend to be pretty fair about stuff like the quality of play and where the money is being spent and how I think the money should be spent, both for now and for the future, and stuff like, you know, Soccer for All Month and Pride. This is the Pride Top, by the way, which
beautiful.
Yeah, like stuff like this makes me actually proud to be part of the league, and I think they've done a good job with a lot of it. You know, it's like any other job. You can, if you have a good job with a good culture at the, you can be critical. Yeah. Right. You could say, all right, you know, VP or C-suite executive, here's why this didn't work, and like we can do that. You gotta be smart about it as well.
Can't walk in like, this is trash.
Yeah,
you gotta be gentle.
Ben Bear does that.
Yeah. I do think, like, ever since we've been doing this and been more kind of in that world of soccer and American soccer, you sort of, people can get lost in the bubble of like MLS is this monolith of monsters that are trying to just have a stranglehold on
marionette, you know.
And it's like, then we go to the offices and it's like, it's just people. Yeah. It's just people just trying to figure it out.
So nice.
It's just
I mean, it's honestly, it's just people who want to see soccer succeed. And I think there's a dividing line. I don't know exactly where it is, but I grew up without a top tier soccer league in the U.S. I went to college before MLS existed. Yeah. I remember what it was like, and I remember what it was like, especially those first 6-7 years when every day was existential. Was like, are we going to have a league tomorrow? And the story that I think you guys know, I think most people know now, is in 2001, the answer was almost no. Yeah. And then, Lamar Hunt and Phil Anschutz and Bob Kraft came through, and, Don Garber came up with the plan, and they were able to save the league. And that's, 17 years ago. So this is still very much, or 18 years ago, this is very much living memory. And I think that fear and desperation still fuels a lot of it, because like, oh my God, what if it doesn't last? Like, there are a lot of people who still work at MLS who remember that. Yeah. And I think that's why we've seen what's frankly been a slow growth plan over 23 years. But if you look where it is now compared to where it was 3-4 years ago, it doesn't really feel like slow growth anymore. It feels like we've
hyperdrive. It's kind of been hit.
I don't think hyperdrive yet, but like we're at least into fourth gear at this point, and we'll see what happens. 2020 is the CBA, 2022 is the next media rights deal. Yeah. That's when maybe things,
especially with the 2026 World Cup coming up. Yeah, there's a lot that's going to happen.
And hopefully we'll make the 2022 World Cup. It's freaking time.
Okay, cross our fingers.
Please. We thought that was the end of our show, speaking of. But luckily, Phil Anschutz called us. So when I look at one of the things that is sort of, and Christian already alluded to it, that sort of you do so well, better than anybody else, I think, on Twitter.
Me too,
is you, of course, I was just the greatest. You actually take. So I can watch youth players and go, wow, that guy's well. But you can explain to me how he's good at his job. You know what I mean? You can explain. So Paxton Pomykal, right? Mm-hmm. To pick someone. It seems like I'm watching this kid play and I'm like, it seems like he's the kind, like this is like a different type of player we've developed now than we have in the past. And maybe we've hit some like lucky strikes with certain players. This seems like someone who, like, we developed a great player. We didn't just find a needle in a haystack. What are you seeing in the youth side? What do you see like out of guys like Timo Weah and Paxton Pomykal and some Paxton? I'll just make that.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Just pretty dope. Another name. What do you see when you see some of these players and some of the other ones coming up? Is this a fool's like is this a great white hype?
No, it's not. We've turned a corner in terms of youth development over the last but we're seeing the fruits of the labor over the last 3-4 years. It started really in 2007 with the USSDA initiative, and then the MLS Homegrown Initiative, and that the amount of investment into coaching and then into scouting and identifying good young players is huge. It was dwarfed anything that came before it. So you're able to find guys like Paxical and Chris Richards, Weston McKennie, all, go on down the, just in FC Dallas. And suddenly you're looking at like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who might all be $10 million players or more. And you put them in the environment where they're playing together, but they're also competing together. And this happened in Dallas, and it happened with the Red Bulls, and it happened with Sporting Kansas City and Seattle and the Galaxy. And, suddenly, there are 15 places in the U.S. where you're doing this. That's huge. And then once you have that, you also have the ability to get these teams to play each other during the year. And suddenly they're playing better competition. Yeah. And then also you're bringing Real Madrid and Boca Juniors and Ajax in to the Dallas Cup and the Generation Adidas Cup. And they're playing those guys. And there's not this barrier between American soccer and the world. And then this is on top of the age of internet. When I grew up, I got 30 minutes of Soccer Made in Germany every week and whatever I could find on the Spanish channels or the Italian channel, which wasn't a lot. Right. These kids are growing up. They can watch soccer 24/7. So there's no there's no type of skill and there's no type of like tactical concept that is foreign to them. And you could see the difference in that just from the 2013 U20 team versus this current U20 team that just went out and they played Nigeria, which is always one of the best and most entertaining teams at the U20 level. The U.S. played them off the field, and they didn't do it by being bigger, stronger, faster. They did it by being more technical and more tactical and having more fucking sauce. They were stunting on those guys. And it was awesome.
Which has always been like the rub against American soccer. It's like they're bigger, they're faster. What is that? I think Sir Alex Ferguson said they have square feet, but they can run forever.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, they can only go forward, left, or right, but they can keep running. So they'll beat you in like the 80th.
Yeah.
On. Something like you make them tired.
Yeah, outlast them,
Yeah, outlast them. And now it seems like we're developing dudes who are out there just like you said, they're using that other thumb.
Right analog.
Analog thing. We're like, okay, all right.
Yeah. And Pamacal's a good example. There are other great examples on this current U20 team. And it the last U20 team made the quarterfinals. Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie were eligible for that team and didn't play. And we made the quarterfinals without those two guys. And, we saw Josh Sargent was like 16, 17 for that tournament. And he was out there, holding the ball up and then doing these slick little turns against guys who have like Serie A experience.
Yeah. Well, there was just Atlanta United just won the Man City Cup, right? Against
their 14s,
against Rayados and stuff like that. So you're sort of just seeing that the world is sort of acknowledging that the growth, the quality is higher, especially at the younger levels, and which is why they come here to begin with, right?
Yeah. Borussia Dortmund, they weren't scouting Christian Pulisic at 15 by accident.
Yeah.
They know that there's talent here. Schalke didn't find Weston McKennie by accident. They know that they're Georgie Acosta was the backup playmaker on our last U17 team. He's with Boca Juniors.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
Yeah.
Right. It seems like we're in a different world now. I remember when I could follow along the Americans, like youth players in Europe, the Americans abroad, and now it's like impossible. I'm hearing names. I'm like, I've never heard that name before. Yeah. I was like, it's Haji Wright, and then there's this guy, and now there's like names. I'm like, what? We have a 12-year-old in Barcelona? What's happening?
It's all happening so fast.
Where do we see a world where these players skip MLS still, or they help build MLS? Because we're moving into this league of selling league.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Are we going to be like Portugal where no one knows?
I think that would be a great next step. If MLS could become like Portugal, a little more balanced, right? Because Portugal really only has two good teams.
Benfica and Sporting.
No. Benfica and Porto. Sporting's been terrible for like 20 years.
Sorry. Shouts to everyone in the Ironbound section.
But a little more balanced. But the idea being that we can take our great players and like with Paxton Pomykal or Brendan Aronson in Philly, or obviously Tyler Adams or James Sands, we could get them on the field at age 17, 18, because we've given them pro training since the time they were 13 or 14. They're not coming from college. They're not they're under no illusions as to what's expected at this level. They're going to go out there and they're going to do it. And then Benfica or PSV or Hanover is going to see that, and they're going to say, "Oh, you're $7 million. We'll take that kid." That is a great stop for ML. In fact, it's a necessary step because if the league doesn't take that step, we're not going to sign the next Christian Pulisic, because every kid still wants to play in Europe, as they should. It's the highest level. So we have to, the league has to prove that, as it was for Alphonso Davies and Tyler Adams and Matt Miazga, that this is the stop that you should make on your way to playing in the best leagues of the world, because we'll get you there faster than signing for peanuts for a third division German team. We will get you there. Yeah. And this is important.
All right. So I want to ask a couple questions that our Gully Squad members have posted.
Shout out to Gully Squad.
So we want to... Okay, so some of these are great. I haven't vetted all of them, so some of them might be weird. This is from Neil Gavoni, friend Neil Gavoni, NYCFC fan. Great
Legend.
Dude. He has two questions. First one, how have you seen MLS Twitter evolve, and what teams/fans are best at throwing shade? And this is great because as comedians, we're sort of seeing the bar, not just the quality of the soccer, the quality of these social media teams, and making funnier sort of things and having kind of beef even between each other. It's been a bit more popular. What has been your opinion on that?
I think that, from a team perspective, everything that I'm seeing in MLS Twitter, clearly has been influenced by the NBA. NBA Twitter is the most amazing thing in the world. And I think a lot of the social teams have sort of woken up to that. And excuse me, and you see it, the stuff RSL has done this year has been
amazing,
freaking hilarious. And you see some of that around the league. I think Portland, Portland and Seattle over the last couple of years, and it was the Shooting Stars video, the Galaxy.
It was great.
They got in trouble for that. Now look at where we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that's been big. As for the fan bases themselves,
the savages.
I use the mute function liberally, man. I think that, and maybe this is, my roots coming back to me, but I still think the Red Bulls fans are the most hilarious goddamn people in the world.
Because it's a straight up New York cynicism that is a little different.
Maybe a New Jersey cynicism.
Maybe New Jersey also as well.
There's definitely a Port Authority influence in there.
you do feel it, especially dealing with Atlanta fans. And it's just it's almost like they hate when there's an expansion team in MLS. It's no, this is our house. Stop bringing new people.
Someone else on our way to try to get a cup. You know what I mean? They're prepared for it.
Neil's second question was, this is a fuck, marry, kill scenario. Andrew Wiebe, Andrew Wiebe, David Goss, and Bobby Warshaw. F, marry, kill. Tough scenario. I don't know if this is gonna make it weird in the office. You don't even have to answer, but the question had to be asked.
I will say this one. Obviously, you would marry David Goss.
Okay.
Of those three.
Just for the hummus alone.
That's literally what I said. We have such similar tastes in food that I could live a long and happy life with David Goss.
Okay, but that's very, all right. That's very
sweet. And the question is not answered beyond that.
There you go.
You figure out the other two.
The other part's going to the disciplinary committee for the rest of the question.
You can't marry Wiebe because he's going to try to put a baby inside you before.
Oh, great. Okay, so this is my most serious one. What franchise? This is from Nick Harris. He goes, what is one franchise that needs a reboot? Chicago is thinking of it, but there's another team that needs one as well. This is probably. Do any teams need reboots, or how do you sort of feel about?
There's no mystery that teams like the Fire and the Revolution are struggling a little bit, both in the standings and with the stadium situations and with getting people out to the games. I think almost NYCFC, we could put them in that category as well. All three of them, man. Like, I think New York City, if you put, a soccer-specific stadium just south of Yankee Stadium, or maybe out at Willets Point, wherever, somewhere in the 5 boroughs, I think it would make such a huge difference. And it's the same thing for the Fire, right? There are dozens of spots in Chicago, which has a little more room than New York does. There are dozens of spots where, like, if they're able to get a stadium built, I think it would be spectacular. Boston's a tough one. Boston's a really tough one because there's not a lot of room in Boston.
No,
so
it's a tiny city.
Yeah, the Crafts are going to have to get really, really creative. But I think for all, like, those three
You're
teams,
saying they're going to have to get crafty?
just my type.
Do you know how hard that was for Matt to have to sit through?
All right, just knock down Fenway. Okay, next up. This is from Melanie Isbell. She says, have an FC Dallas related question. Which FC Dallas team was stronger? The Hinman, the
Schellas
Hyndman 2010 team, or Pareja's 2016 team?
Oh, 2016.
Okay.
2016 by a mile. That team, they won the Supporter Shield and US Open Cup double. And I think you guys know, I'm a Supporter Shield truther.
Yeah.
I believe the best team in any given season is the team that wins the Supporter Shield.
Okay, Red Bull fans, you won 3 times.
There
You're
you
the
go.
champions.
Yeah. like honestly, it's 8 great months of soccer versus 1 great month.
Even though some teams slow it down at the end of the season to prepare for the playoffs?
Yeah, well, I mean, that is one of the arguments against it. And I understand that, but like this year with the change in the playoff format, I don't think anybody's going to be slowing it down because it's one and done, home field advantage the whole way. So
it's gonna be fire. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But that 2016 team, they won the Supporter Shield, they won the U.S. Open Cup, and if Mauro Diaz hadn't gotten hurt, because remember he did his Achilles right at the end of that year, I think they might have won the treble.
Yeah.
Like that team was really, really good. The 2010 team, they were really good. I mean, they made MLS Cup, but that was not. It was not as complete a team. I don't think Schellas is as good a coach as Oscar, and it wasn't, frankly, as talented an era in MLS in MLS history. Like they would compete, but they wouldn't be an elite team. These days.
It's kind of difficult to even compare any current or around this time MLS team to anybody 5-10 years ago. It's just like. The money wasn't there, the quality wasn't.
Yeah, and I think this year will change everything. But it used to be that if you tried really hard to win the Supporter Shield, that hurt you going into the playoffs. Yeah. Because you were victorious before the playoffs, where everyone else is like, yo, we got to win this thing. And like you come in hot, you know what I mean? And you try to catch heat during the playoffs. So, it's sort of like the synapses in your brain fire that you've already succeeded before going into the playoffs. That's never, I don't think that's always
you make an excuse for the Red Bulls? Is that what you're doing?
Not really. What I'm trying to say is stop trying to win the goddamn Supporter Shield, yo. Win that cup, my guy.
They don't look like they're trying to win it this year.
They certainly sold it at the beginning of the season, right?
Okay, well, this is from Yusuf Ricard. He says, what are the next 3 financial structure changes the league can make to influence more club spending? So examples like salary cap removal. He made a joke here, but I don't necessarily get it. So I'm not going to say it because it might be offensive. So, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah. You're a suit. Come on.
He said, or selling Robert Kraft to Inter Miami for TAM.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's not.
That's why. I mean, I don't get I know what the joke is, but whatever. I didn't want to put Matt in a weird place. Anyway, any financial sort of structure changes? Anything do you think should, like removing the salary cap? Is that a thing that
they're not going to remove the salary cap?
Okay.
There's not. In fact, I think you'll see a salary cap in Europe before you see MLS remove the salary cap.
Wow.
Okay.
That's going to happen within the next 10 or 15 years for sure.
Hot take.
Yeah, right?
Well, whatever country does that is just going to be at a disadvantage. I don't think anyone's going to do that.
I mean, it's not going to be one country. It's going to be that European Super League. Like, that's inevitable. That's going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, we've talked about it,
Yeah. I mean, like, why would they not? Why does Barcelona and Real Madrid want to share their money with Levante and Girona?
Yeah.
Like what is it's not, it doesn't work for them anymore. And like it's going to kill me because I love domestic soccer, but like business makes the decision. Business drives the bus. For MLS, I suspect that the players union is going to fight pretty hard to get GAM and TAM rolled into the salary cap.
Yeah.
And then expanded. And like, to me, that's the big thing. Like, just expand the salary cap up to X amount. I would guess somewhere between like $13 to $15 million would probably be a pretty logical step forward. And do that and keep the 3 DPs. And then you could have a team. You could basically have Sporting Kansas City's team plus Zlatan, plus Carlos Vela, plus whoever, Bastian Schweinsteiger. So you get the best of both worlds where you're paying young talent from the Americas enough where they want to come here and they want to stay here for a few years before you sell them on. Or guys like a Diego Valeri who came here at 26 and is like, he's obviously good enough for most teams in the world, but he wanted the lifestyle here. He wanted to, so you could get those guys, but you could also get the high level. I mean, Lionel Messi is going to play in MLS in the next 3 or 4 years. You could still get him and surround him by really good players.
All right, you heard it here first.
Wow.
Matt, breaking news.
Down with Europe, up with Lionel Messi.
Okay, 2 more. They might be kind of long, but we'll see. Okay, so this is from Mike Thomas. So Mike Thomas supports the show. He's a big fan of us, but he's also a big fan of you guys. So he tweets at you a lot. He's a Philly Union fan, and so he'll mention it, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about when that happens. But he goes, if the 24 MLS rosters were flipped with the top 24 Euro team rosters, would MLS instantly be labeled the best league in the world, or would there still be a substantial amount of people that refuse to accept it? And he also asks, would the roster flip cause instant sellouts stateside and basically require NFL-sized stadiums for MLS teams, or would we still have most of the league in 20K-ish soccer-specific stadiums?
That's a really good question. It's because there are people on both sides of the pond who I talk to who are like, if you swapped LAFC for,
Brighton.
I mean, better than that. Like Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah.
Like you would not be able to tell the difference. Now, I think the top 24 teams in the world, I think you would be able to just see it. I think most fans would be able to for sure. But once you get past the top 6 in the Premier League, once you get past the top, 4 in the Bundesliga,
once you get past the top 1 in Ligue 1,
I think you would have to be a pretty discerning fan. I think you would have to be a pretty discerning fan. Not to say that the top teams in MLS are necessarily top 8 in the Premier League or top 5 in the Bundesliga. I don't think that we have quite as much through the middle of the roster or at the tail end just yet.
Depth is also an issue.
But I don't think that there's a world of difference. I really don't. And the same goes for Liga MX. If you look at Liga MX, if you took the 4th best team in Liga MX and you put them in the Eredivisie or Portugal,
Tigres would eat that league up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like Tigres would have finished 3rd in the Eredivisie behind Ajax, who we all know what Ajax, and PSV.
Yeah.
And they would have been neck and neck with Porto and Benfica. That's just the truth of soccer in the Americas right now. And I think that there are a lot of people who see that and appreciate that. There are a vocal amount of people who don't see that and definitely don't appreciate it.
Yes.
And the last one, this is from Kyle Knight, and I just want to give a shout out to Kyle Knight. Lives in Indiana. Just recently there was a tornado near his home, and it was actually very serious and dangerous, but he's okay and his family's okay.
Good, I'm glad. So, they were clearing out rubble with snowplows.
Yeah, so Kyle, I'm glad everything's okay. So, but he asked, Kyle asked, what's one of your favorite moments from covering soccer, covering the game? Anything that stands out? I mean, outside of being on this show, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
Let him say it.
This is an easy number one.
We beat Zlatan.
There's a lot of good ones that I've had. I mean, on a personal, I went to the University of Connecticut and we won the national championship in 2000. And I was working for the school paper when that happened. So I was there and I watched it happen. That was dope. Just on a personal level. this is corny, but the Beckham game at MetLife Stadium, or whatever it was called, Giant Stadium, 12 years ago. I think it was his first trip to New York. It was his first year in the league. 68,000 people were there.
The lead up, the anticipation for him going to New York and playing here was just like nothing. I went to a 94 World Cup game, and that game, the lead up to that game was more fever pitch than the lead up to, I think I saw Italy, Ireland.
Which was... an amazing game.
Yeah, incredible
and
game.
It was 95% Irish in the stand. I was at that game too.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the game, and then that's when they were all talking about the bomb that went off in Ireland.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that because everyone was like turning the radios on in the cars. I remember everyone was putting on sunblock, and I'm like, guys, I'll be fine. I'm like, you guys need to worry about the sunblock. I went with like an Irish family who had tickets. It was insane. I remember the lead up to that game was wild. It made me fall in love with soccer almost as much as playing like FIFA and stuff. The lead up to the Beckham game, I want you to finish your story, but like that was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was an event. It was an event that like the whole city, and New York is still really weird in a lot of ways, and that this whole city doesn't get behind much.
Right.
The whole city got behind the idea of this, and there were 65,000 or 68,000 people there, and most of them probably had never been to a Metro Stars or Red Bull game at that point. But there was a lot of red in the crowd, and that game ended up being 5-4.
Yeah.
And it was out of control. It wasn't great soccer, but it was great entertainment, and it was completely out of control. So being at that, I guess I didn't cover that game, because you asked what the best thing I covered. I didn't cover that game. I went to that one as a fan. Covering MLS Cups is always super special. I guess I'll say this. In 2016, I covered... Toronto versus Seattle, that MLS Cup,
which is where we met.
That's right, where we met. And I watched the game with Ziggy Schmidt.
I thought you were going to say that's what. Go ahead, you watched the game with Ziggy Schmidt.
I watched the game with Ziggy, and he had just been fired by Seattle, and he was a legend there and everything. And this was still his team. These were his guys. Brian Schmetzer is his assistant. Kurt Schmid, his son, was still working for the team, and he had relationships with the fans and everything, and watching Ziggy with it, watching it with Ziggy at the end, you could see how moved he was and how emotional he was about the win and what it meant for his people, his team, all of that. But he was also he literally said, "Fuck. I wanted to give this to them so bad."
Right.
And he wasn't saying it to me. He wasn't saying it to the other. But he was just exclaiming. And you realize the competitive edge that these guys have, and the raw son of a bitchery it took to stick with American soccer for half a century and try to build it into something that matters, not just here, but in the world. People like Ziggy did that, and to be there for that moment, I will never forget that. I just will never forget that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we talk about that just because I think I used to go to Metro Stars games and casually Red Bulls games and stuff like that, but I was connected to just that game, and I never knew much about the league. And then ever since we've been doing this and hearing stories, especially about Siggy and all these other people, and the sacrifices made, the contributions made to the growth of the sport in this country, and you hear about it, and even just hearing you talk about it, it's just man, there's so much here that we, even maybe in our lifetimes it won't be appreciated, but people like you, even just sharing the story will help more people be kind of interested and inspired.
It just makes the world aware of what's happened, because son of a bitchness and all that, it's just the balls it takes to say nah, I'm gonna build this. And knowing you probably won't get the appreciation. I remember there was a movie awards where Beckham was in there, and I think Justin Timberlake was on the mic, and he said oh, and Beckham's here, thank you for coming here and making soccer this much more important. And I remember thinking to myself, you have no clue. It's a great joke, I get it, but you have no clue the amount of people that are back there just pushing this rock up a hill, do or die, you know what I mean? And it's just so dope to see where we're going. Because like we're at a point now where we're not looking up a hill anymore. I feel like we're starting to see the turn of that hill.
Yeah.
And it's so dope to be a part of it. Now, hopefully...
Well, pushing the rock up the hill is the most exercise Alexis have ever gotten. So.
Yeah, no, it's also what Christian does on a week-to-week basis with me. But like, hopefully we've added some levity to this whole thing.
That is all we're trying to do, man. So, Matt Doyle, thank you so much for...
And we will get that chopped cheese.
Oh, yeah.
It will happen.
That has to happen. Okay, cool. Matt Doyle, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Let people know where they can follow you and see your work.
As if they don't know.
Everything I do is at MLSsoccer.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, but truth is I've probably already muted you, so don't tweet at me.
Don't even worry about it. Also, sneak us into an extra time, okay?
Get us in there. Okay, so Matt, you know how we end this show every single time. So for Matt Doyle, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros, and together, what are we?
The Cool